Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be going over the part of Hydra's flow, so to speak, with the buy and burn, where it puts 20% of the Titan-X into the DRAGONX staking vault. Because remember last video I said we could do a whole video on this, and we're going to right now. If you're unfamiliar with DRAGONX, DRAGONX is a token that users could mint with at a beginning at a 1-to-1 ratio, and it would decline, meaning it would get the ratio would get worse and worse over the course of 12 weeks, and about 9 some trillion Titan-X were contributed to minting DRAGONX. And the supply right now, I believe, we'll check it out in a second here, but basically what DRAGONX does is it goes ahead and has a stake in the Titan-X system, and it gets ETH, uses the ETH to buy Titan-X to put back into its own stake, as well as to buy up DRAGONX and burn it as well. So this is a powerful piece to DRAGONX, and you can see here there's a lot of DRAGONX pieces to Hydra. So Hydra is important for DRAGONX. So in this video, we're going to go over the details there. And you'll probably remember this from a few videos ago. We talked about the DRAGONX data doing the buy and burn for DRAGONX and everything else. What I want to do this video is, like I said, break everything down for how, theoretically speaking, Hydra is going to impact DRAGONX, the DRAGONX vault, how much is going to go into the buy and burn. And before we go into this, though, I want to be very, very clear about some assumptions about this. Okay, this is just a fictitious, this is theoretical and is projecting based on at least these 5 assumptions that I'm going to talk about right now. So the first assumption is median prices for all buy and burn activity are based on the current prices of DRAGONX and Titan-X. What that's saying is this is unrealistic, but just to demonstrate, because the price of Titan-X and DRAGONX is not going to be what it is right now. It's going to be higher or lower. They're both going to be doing their own thing, and we can't predict that. So there's assumptions here. So this is all just to paint a picture here to give you the idea of how much or how little, when you see the numbers, things could be affected for DRAGONX. So the second one is Hydra gets a minimum or maximum of 1 to 10 trillion Titan-X used to mine. It could be more, it could be less. No idea there. So prices do not get high enough for mining to resume in Titan-X and reignite staking is another assumption. So if the staking pools start to get basically reignited because there is mining happening in Titan-X again, this could increase the payouts for DRAGONX, increase the payout for day 888, and even possibly for 369. I'm not sure if that could happen. I don't know if that's likely enough. Anyways, the fourth one though is this does not include the vortex buy pressure, so we're kind of ignoring vortex for this. And this also assumes an ETH price of 2,300. Okay, so we're assuming a lot right now, but I want to paint the picture of how this all could work if something like this were to happen, okay? Just to give you a better understanding of just how much this could impact DRAGONX. So let's do extreme to extreme low, so extreme high to extreme low. And on the extreme high end, let's say 10 trillion Titan-X is used to mint Hydra or mine Hydra, and on the extreme low, it's only 1 trillion. Okay, and I got these stats from looking on app.titanx.win. Actually, let me pull that up. So here are the stats I used to pull what I think the min max would be: extreme low, extreme high. So DRAGONX on obviously was a very big very big protocol. It got almost now 10 trillion, so 9.2 trillion Titan-X went into Titan-X. Or sorry, went into DRAGONX. Hyper got so far has 7.7 trillion, and Inferno's 2.2, Helios is 2 trillion, and Blaze is 249 billion. So I feel like that was fair to do 1 to 10. So on that note, this is where I got the spectrum from. It could be more, it could be less. We don't know yet. So anyways, of these numbers here, on the extreme high in this case, we'd have 1.8 trillion sent into the vault for DRAGONX, with the minimum at the 1 trillion being used to mine Hydra, would only bring in 184 billion Titan-X. So you can see it's a pretty big swing here, right? The total staked at that point, I mean, we have the numbers up here. So the current staked is around 24 trillion. If we were to go and look at the new total Titan-X staked after this, we'd be ranging from 24.2 trillion to 25.9 trillion, which gives us a new DRAGONX vault total, which the old total was here at 8.9 trillion. Our new total for DRAGONX would be roughly 10.8 trillion in the DRAGONX vault, okay? So that's just basically just the Titan-X coming in, right? Goes straight into the vault, right? We don't need to buy this Titan X. It's already bought, so we don't have to do any math for that. It's just straight in. We just calculate based on everything else that we've just done. Now, based on the new total and the amount of DRAGONX, the size of the DRAGONX vault, we can now calculate the new staking pool percentage for the DRAGONX pool. And in this case, it was 37, and it was getting $2.1 million in the buy and burn for the 369-day payout. And now DRAGONX would get, based on these new staking pool percentages that it's going to have, even more. So let's check this out. So again, before it was getting 37% and $2.1 million. Now with 42%, it's going to go as high as 390 or 200, it's going to go as high as $2.39 million. So basically an extra $250,000 on the high side for an extra 5%, all the way down to only 38% of the pool and 1% increase for like extra 20K. So you can see how different this system affects the staking vault and how much it collects the payouts, or how much it collects from the payouts based on the adoption of Hydra within this system alone, right? So the total payout in ETH that it would get, again, the payout to DRAGONX originally with just a 37% share of the Titan X staking pool was going to get 930 ETH. Now, 42% of the pool gets us 1,042 ETH, 41% gives us 1,015, and so on, all the way down till we're only getting, I think, about 12 ETH difference versus what DRAGONX was originally going to get. Again, that's for $1 trillion Titan X on the low side coming into Hydra and 10 trillion on the high side. So, but the cool thing is next we can look at how this gets moved between the two facets of the DRAGONX protocol, because you have two main pieces, right? When DRAGONX collects the ETH from the payouts, 44.5% goes to buying Titan X and then putting it into the staking vault as well. And the other 44.5% of that split goes to buying and burning DRAGONX. So in this case, of that, let's say 1,042 ETH, 463 of that ETH would go to buy and stake Titan X, and 463 of that ETH would also go to buying and burning of DRAGONX. Again, so this would buy up Titan X, and then it would buy DRAGONX and then burn it. So in that case, there would be an extra 1.4 trillion added to the vault. Again, this is for the current prices today, right? The new total vault size would be 12.25 trillion in the staking vault for a brand new total of 45% of the entire staking pool. And that would bring in approximately, assuming, of course, that prices are the same as today, yada, 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 all the assumptions in the world, right? This would mean that if that's all true, then on day 888, that this would bring in, or DRAGONX would bring in another 496 ETH worth about 1.1 million, up from the original 413 ETH, 413 and a half, essentially. So up quite a bit, and up in USD value as well. It's a big change, actually. That's a really big change, especially from our previous calculations on the previous video. And the last thing that we're going to have to cover here on this front is looking at the DRAGONX bought and burned based on the ETH from the 369 payout. So that's another 115 billion. So that's two more whale positions burned from supply. Now, this number here for DRAGONX, this amount of supply we're talking about, is based on, that would be bought and burnt through the ETH in the DRAGONX protocol, is based off of this number here. So if we look at this, it's using the top amount of ETH. So this is just going to get a little bit smaller if we were to see only 419 ETH in comparison, right? And again, that's based on today's prices only. So now that we've kind of got an idea of really how this system leads into affecting DRAGONX, the other thing we have to consider too that we can't really account for or cover is that when these pools increase, right, if Titan X's mining starts up again because prices are rising and people start mining again, and that's going to cause the DRAGONX vault to be able to get more payouts from the smaller payouts, or more ETH from the smaller payouts, like the 8-day, the 28, the 90-day, and then maybe the next 369 as well, even before the 888-day payout comes along again, which just compounds this effect because it means more Titan X is bought and staked, which means more DRAGONX is bought and burned. So the DRAGONX token gets even more scarce, and the system is able to retrieve more ETH to buy up TitanX and its own token and burn its own token as well and stake more TitanX, which just perpetuates this kind of flywheel. So that's roughly how this system works. And I want you to understand that depending on adoption, this system could be really, 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 really powerful. And depending on how prices go, because prices are what dictate mining profitability, which dictates the amount of ETH that comes into this protocol. So without going too much deeper into that, let's now look at the TitanX used to mine Hydra and how that compares to the DRAGONX bot, the DRAGONX burnt, and how much of the DRAGONX would be used to buy Hydra. Okay, so again, with these extreme high to extreme low scenarios, 1 trillion to 10 trillion, the DRAGONX bot on the high side, based on all this, would be a 592 billion. And the point of me telling you this is not that, holy moly, like this is all going to get burned, but this has a downstream effect that you'll see in a moment here. So of this, going from 592 billion all the way down to just 59 billion, which is still which is bigger than a whale position that's going to be bought within the system, even just from a trillion TitanX coming in overall, 106 billion, so that's 2 whale positions, get completely wiped out and burnt. Okay, 79 billion, 52 billion, 26 billion, and 10 billion subsequently would be burnt from high to low in the case of extreme high to extreme low adoption rates for this protocol. So that's super interesting. So the DRAGONX token deflates on its own. And if this flywheel over here that we talked about in terms of it getting payouts and then increasing its own position, which gets more payouts if the TitanX price comes up and people start mining again, well, that's compounded by this system as well and by Hydra, because this is going to make DRAGONX much more rare as well. So again, 106 billion would be burned for every, well, not for every, but if 10 trillion TitanX were put into the protocol and TitanX was at its current price right now, which is somewhere around here. Okay, it's probably not going to happen, right? There's no way it's going to be exactly this number. We have no idea how to know what the price of TitanX is going to be as a median price, like what the average price will be for DRAGONX and what TitanX's price will be, right? Because if TitanX were to drop and DRAGONX were to increase, well, this amount of DRAGONX that's going to be bought is going to go way down, right? Going way down. But if TitanX were to skyrocket and DRAGONX were to dump, right? DRAGONX, the amount of DRAGONX that be bought would go up, right? So, and maybe the amount of TitanX used would go up too. Who knows, right? So that would just contribute to even more DRAGONX being bought in that process. Anyways, going on a tangent here. Of this, so we can see that the DRAGONX burnt is going to be as such, but this is where things get kind of cool, because the DRAGONX that was bought, the majority of it, right, goes to buying and burning Hydra. And so in this case, assuming everything we just assumed, that in this case, 485 billion, so like 8 or 9 whale positions worth would go into buying Hydra alone and burning it permanently. And this doesn't include the vortex, right? And this scales down to 48 billion, which is still $436,000 relative to the high point of $4.3 million. But hey, that's pretty sweet. I mean, those are cool numbers, interesting to look forward to. And I think, or at least I'm hoping that now that we've gone through this, and, again, remember, these assumptions are still here, right? You're starting to get an understanding of how Hydra will affect DRAGONX, how it should affect or could affect TitanX, and then how much, if this ecosystem is working well and adoption is working well, or there's a lot of adoption, how much of the buy and burn could be, or how much DRAGONX will be used to buy and burn Hydra. And I think that's really fascinating. I've got no idea how this is going to play out. So we're going to have to wait and see. And I'm excited. Hydra should be launching sometime in the next, I don't know, maybe few weeks, month or so. And then we can really see how it fully plays out here. So I hope you learned something. I hope this is starting to make a little more sense. And I hope this isn't too confusing. I know we have a lot of numbers involved here. And what I'll do is I will make this particular sheet public online on the Google Documents. It'll be part of the public TitanX documents folder that I have up for everyone right now, which already has the Hydra flowchart in it. And it has the supply leagues in it as well. So go check that out. It should be somewhere in the description there below. But I hope you enjoy this and I hope you learned something. Again, all this is just assumed fun math just to give you an idea of how this might work over time. But thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you go ahead and smash the like button. Make sure you're subscribed for much more content like this. And if you want to learn way more than just this stuff, I have two options for you. One, I do one-on-one coaching. There's links below for that. And I have a very, 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 very limited group that I've started, which is going to meet every single Friday, which is going to talk about all the in-depth stuff way beyond this for TitanX, PTGC, Pulse Chain, and anything else that we find relevant that we can get our hands on. So if you want to be a part of that, go check that out as well. But that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.